Hello everyone, and welcome back to Everything That I Do. And today we're going to do something a bit different. We're going to try and do a tier list. I'm really hoping I can get... Okay, so... this is the fun part. So, I've been reading for the last several years now the Shadowhunters books, and I figured if there was ever a day to try and tier list everybody, I figured once I did the last hours that would be the time. So yeah, I hope you're ready for this, especially as my viewers aren't exactly the sorts of people that get into this sort of thing. So first off, let's just place my top character, Emma Carstairs. So with Emma, I don't know what to really say about her. She is the most stubborn, bold, bravest person I've ever read about. And I may be a little bit biased. She's genuinely everything to me, but then again, there's going to be a lot of God tier Carstairs. So yeah, Emma Carstairs. I love her relationship with Julian. I love her relationship with the Blackthorne kids. I love her bond with Christina. I love literally everything about this girl. She's incredible. And she has an obsession with chocolate when she comes to England for her travel year, so... Right, so... Next, let's make something very, very clear. Carstairs supremacy. Cordelia is almost as great as Emma. I'm still infuriated at her after the ending of Chain of Iron. Admittedly, it's not her fault, it's a certain trash character's fault. But, Jesus Christ. You're just gonna have to trust me on this one. Emma Carstairs is great, so is Cordelia Carstairs. It's just a shame that the two could never meet. Okay, so this is where it gets to be a bit more difficult. I want to say Julian Blackthorne, who is going to third place. Julian is the biggest nut job I have ever read about. He's insane. He would do literally anything for those that he loves, including murder, basically. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers in this video, by the way. I don't really think it matters too much, and it's not going to be excessive. But take, for example, the cohort member that Julian just murders because he catches that bastard tailing them in Fairy, in Queen of Air and Darkness. Granted, at the time he was under Magnus' spell to try and lessen the effects of the Parabatai curse. But yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, I love is probably the wrong reaction, as I was too busy dying inside when it happened. But his reaction to... Huge spoilers here for Lord of Shadows. Fair warning. His reaction to Livy's death at the end of Lord of Shadows cemented him as a legendary character. And then, other spoilers, but this time for Queen of Air and Darkness. The way he murdered Annabelle and left that rag that had Livy's blood on it on her as a sign that he was going to let go of it now that he'd avenged her. It was really something. So This is where things get a bit more difficult, because honestly, a lot of them are jumbled together in my head. But Will Herrendale, the original, the duck-hating, demon-pox-singing, legendary Will Herrendale. Never trust a duck. I really hope if they do this Infernal Devices TV show that they get him right. I'm going to be really upset if they don't. Okay, so next up is Magnus Bane. Magnus needs no real introduction. He's the magical, incredible, hot warlock. Like, he's great. I love him. That's all we really need to say. He's fabulous. And he's played by Mike Chang's actor from Glee in the show. So yeah. Okay, so next up, I want to kind of make a slight jump with this one to give the resident mundane nerd. Simon is utterly relatable. His love of all things pop culture are great, and that would tie him technically for me with Isabel Lightwood, who I adore the two of them together. That's all there is to it. So I think that's enough for... Hang on. There's one more person that I want to add into the elite section. Actually, two more. First of all is Jace Carstairs. His struggles with the infanticide, like, he's incredible either way. And it's great that the Gem, Will, Tessa, I think, love triangle. Oh, great. That means it has to be free. Anna Lightwood, daughter of Cecily and Gabriel. Incredible. I love Anna. She's genuinely just a mood in every way possible. Tessa Gray, protagonist of The Infernal Devices. She's incredible. What more can I say? She's a Shadowhunter warlock. Like a half Shadowhunter, half warlock. She's a Starkweather. Like, that's a huge spoiler for The Infernal Devices, but holy shit. I love that. I do. Okay, moving swiftly on to the elite tier. So, Matthew Fairchild. I like him. I do. He infuriates me, but I love him. He's relatable. His drinking troubles are something that I'm quite glad they touched on in the series. And there are definite parallels with Alistair Carstairs there. And I know that those are intentional. And suddenly the ending of Chain of Iron makes a lot more sense for me, thinking about that the way I am. I'm going to put Kit Herondale next. No, this has nothing to do with my name. I've pointed this out before on YouTube. I chose this name before I had read the book with him in. But Kit Herondale's great. He's the only Herondale that seems to be able to talk about his feelings without worrying they're going to blow up on him. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Kit Herondale. So next, it's a difficult one. I'm going to say Alec Lightwood, because his development over the course of the Mortal Instruments is incredible, and I think he should be applauded for that. Yeah, next I'm going to put Diana Rayburn. She's incredible. I adore her. spoilers for The Dark Art of Vices. Specifically, I think it's initially brought up in Lord of Shadows to Gwyn, the leader of the Wild Hunt, but it's also mentioned to Emma and Julian while they're in Fool in Queen of Air and Darkness. Diana is a trans woman. She's the first trans person we've ever seen in this franchise, and the way she was done was incredibly respectful, and I love that. I read a really stupid comment on Reddit once about how it was shoehorned in and stuff. That's not true. Don't ever respond to diversity with stuff like that. It's always bullshit when you call it shoehorned in. Especially in a book in which the fantasy and being realistic isn't the main focus, and it never has been. These are thinly veiled romance novels, like, at the end of the day. And on that note, her relationship with Gwyn was unexpected, but not completely unwelcome. I quite like that. I love everything about her character. The only thing is, I feel like a complete moron for not thinking of it. So yeah. Diana Rayburn, everyone. Jace Herrendale. I swear I spent most of these books wanting to punch the nearest Herondale. Will Herrendale. There can be no future for a Shadowhunter who dallies with warlocks, all the while flirting with Tessa at every opportunity. You Dumbo. However, I forgave Will because of his curse situation. Then, Jace Herrendale. Bit more complicated. I fall in love with someone that isn't myself for the first time ever. Oh no, she happens to be my sister. But how is that possible? She looks nothing like me. I don't even resemble her mother. Or my alleged father. Of course, that turns out to be a lie. Who'da thunk it, to be honest. And then you just have Kit Herondale, who is more down to earth because of the time he spent as a mundane. Like, he knows how to tell people about his feelings. He knows how to tell people about mental health. And that is why Kit Herondale is above Jace Herrendale. Because Jace Herrendale, although it's also not his fault, because he actually is under a curse of some sort. Well, under a spell. Basically, the gist of the last hours is that Jace Herrendale has been long groomed for his role as his grandfather's new vessel. And yeah, I don't really know why nobody ever thought to demand that he takes that damn bracelet off, because it becomes so obvious. He stops wearing it for like a week, and the next thing he does is kiss Cordelia. He puts the thing back on because Grace puts it back onto him, and suddenly he's all, oh, I love Grace, except for some reason every time I think about Grace I think about Cordelia. Oh wow, what could possibly be happening here? Herondales, there's too much fucking drama. Like, seriously, I love the Herondales, but I want to kill the Herondales most of the time. Right, speaking of development, Alistair Carstairs. I hated him at first. He was the only Carstairs I've ever disliked. That changed very, very quickly. Like, ridiculously so. He's actually pretty cool. I like him. His relationship with Thomas Lightwood is something that I actually really quite like, because I understand why Alistair did what he did when he was in the Shadowhunter Academy. Doesn't mean that he should be immediately forgiven, but the way Thomas deals with it makes a lot of sense, and that's why I like the relationship. So there you go. Next up on the list is Thomas Lightwood. Where is he? Thomas. There you go. So yeah, next up on the list is Thomas Lightwood. So yeah, I don't really know who to put next. Charlotte Bramwell. Solely because she threatened to divorce Henry Fairchild if he ever... Sorry, Henry Bramwell as it was at the time. They actually do change the names to Fairchild eventually, as that was Charlotte's original name, and it was meant to signify the role reversal of a typical Victorian relationship when it came to Charlotte and Henry, in which Charlotte was the one in charge and Henry was just the guy that blows shit up, to be honest. But she genuinely threatened to divorce Henry if he purposely set himself on fire for an experiment, which, to be honest, is just a mood. Okay. Who next? I think I will go with Sophie Collins, tied with Gideon Lightwood, because the two of them have the greatest relationship that I could possibly imagine. Sophie spends the majority of the Infernal Devices as a mundane servant of the Shadowhunters. In Book 2, Charlotte and the London Institute are told in no uncertain terms that Sophie and Tessa must be taught how to fight properly after the automating incident at the Institute in Clockwork Angel. And from the moment Gideon met Sophie, he seemed to be smitten. Like, he's genuinely... The Lightwoods in the Infernal Devices were actually portrayed as complete dickheads, and there's a reason for that. Benedict Lightwood is evil. I hate him. He's like the only Lightwood besides a different Lightwood, who isn't technically a Lightwood by the time of the last hours. I hate two Lightwoods and that's it. Because Robert and Maris grew on me. Although admittedly, Robert was due to the Dark Artifices and Maris was due to the show. She's still really unlikable in the books. Okay, so... Christina Rosales. I do think she was a bit underdone in the books, like, so far. But I love her relationship with Emma Carstairs. I do think that they should have been the Parabatai, not Emma and Julian. But everybody thinks that. In fact, Emma and Julian think that. You know. Not really a shocker. And I love the polyamorous cottage and fairy. Cassie really does try to show every type of relationship. So, here's the fun part. Cecily Herrendale, and tied with her, the love of her life, Gabriel Lightwood. Now, when Gabriel and Cecily met, Gabriel was effectively only trying to piss Will Herondale off, Cecily's brother, as Gabriel and Will had a rivalry. But as Clockwork Princess goes on, the two spend more and more time together, and it's shown they genuinely do love each other. And I adore that. It also helps that Cecily spent a long time as a mundane. So yeah. Tiberius Blackthorne. A good example of autism in a series that you wouldn't expect to really cover the topic. And once again, another sign of how stupid the Clive is. Okay, so next I've got to say Henry Bramwell. He's interesting. He's pure chaos. I love him. That's all I have to say. Tavi's cute. He's just a cute little kid who doesn't know much about the world yet. However, he grew up during war, so how can you not love him? Poor kid had to be carried through Alicante when the Dark War was breaking out. Oh, and that's a note about Tiberius as well. Ty had to watch his father be murdered. Well, I say murdered. In reality, the person who murdered him was Sebastian. But Julian had to kill his own father in order to protect his family, because he'd been changed to an awful person. Okay, Livy. Livy's death broke me. I adore her, and I'm glad that she's continuing in some way. I have theories on another way that she's going to be heavily involved. I think Fool is going to be very, very vital, and actually her Fool counterpart, I include her in this. Jace Herrendale. Snarky, cocky. I love him. Everybody loves him. No, they don't. Actually, a lot of Shadowhunters fans do not like Jace. Okay, so the final elite character I'm going to give, actually the final two elite characters, are Mark and Kieran. Mark is one of the two Blackthorne children who are half fairy, and Kieran is a member of the Wild Hunt. And now, spoiler alert again, the Unseelie King and his mortal consorts. I love that. I really do. Yeah. Not much else I can really say about them, really, aside from the fact that those two and Christina, their freeway is something I love seeing. Right, moving swiftly on. Jesse Blackthorne. What's not to love about a ghost who, spoiler alert for Chain of Iron, is resurrected at the last minute of the book. I can't wait. I can't wait to see what they do with him in Chain of Thorns. I really, really want to see his and Lucy's relationship flourish now that I think they're going to be bound together in a way that you would expect because of the necromancy that was performed. It wasn't strictly speaking necromancy, but there will be consequences because the universe is always imbalanced. To give a life to someone, you have to take a life from someone. Pretty simple stuff. Yeah. Lucy Herondale. I love her. I really do, but we don't have nearly enough Lucy to put her in a higher tier. Same really goes for Christopher Lightwood, and I do know who he's going to end up with. It was obvious in the books, to be fair. Like, there's a scene in Chain of Iron in which he's talking to his future wife, and yeah. I actually think... I'm trying to think. Yeah, chances are he's the one that's going to be the one that carries down the Lightwood name. I believe. I know there's the whole thing there as well. Not important. Okay. Drew Blackthorne, who, as much as I love her, she hasn't had her time to shine yet. She's going to be one of the main characters of the final trilogy. The Wicked Powers. I cannot wait. I genuinely cannot wait. Yeah, yeah. I adore this. I need to find good words. Okay. Clary Fairchild. I know. I love her, but she's very, very vanilla when you compare her to literally everyone else. Every other pro tag is better. However, she was the first, and I love her for that. Jasmine Lovelace. She pissed me off in the Infernal Devices, but I also love what became of her afterwards. I particularly loved that she defended the London Institute in 2007. As a ghost, she managed to repel the Dark, and I assume to protect Bridget, and only Bridget, who I still do not understand how she's alive. So that's something that's probably getting explained in Black Volume of the Dead, I want to say. It's possible that it will be in Chain of Thorns. I kind of hope it is, because that's sooner. I will talk about that book at some point. I will. But it doesn't come out until November 1st, and I'll be long gone by then. So it'll be a hectic time. And then I'm going to call Helen Blackthorne average. I know. It's probably a controversial take in this fandom. But it's not her fault. She's barely in the books. And I haven't read Eldest Curses properly. Or at all, really. I've read about half of Red Scrolls of Magic. Maybe she can rise in the tier list. I did this prematurely because I wanted this done. Okay, Diego and James. Actually, no, switch those around because James is significantly more likeable than Diego. Diego's a bastard, but he's making up for it. James is James. Christina's supposed to be parabatai that she ended up getting cold feet with when she ran away because of Diego. And yeah, I love them, but no, like seriously, we don't know nearly enough about them. And James has this weird bond with Drew. That's what I want more about. That's what I want to know about. And now, I'm sorry I have to do this. Charles Fairchild, Grace Blackthorne. Charles is trashed because he trashed Alistair's heart. His only saving grace is that allowed Thomas Dare to flourish. And Grace Blackthorne is trash because everything she does pisses me off, and I am tying her with her mother in about as much as Valentine was Jace's father. At least, at least Tatiana didn't lie to Grace about what happened to her. I guess. Fucking Grace is unfortunately a victim here, but that doesn't mean I like her, and it doesn't mean I ever will. However, the saving grace is her potential relationship with Christopher Herrendale. Not Herondale. That is a completely different person. Christopher Lightwood. Because I would quite like to see the two of them as a couple. Because the one time that she doesn't use her fucking bullshit powers is when she is talking to Christopher in the lab. She's genuinely one of the only people that's interested in what he has to say. So yeah, I'm aiming to make more Shadowhunters related content. I wanna branch out in general. Like, as I told you guys in the meme reaction thing, it's a weird one because it's one of my holy trinity franchises. But yeah, everybody should get a codex. It's just great. And everybody should watch my videos on this, because realistically it's an interesting topic, and I don't think those of you that judged it on Series 1 of the show, because I know there are those of you that listen to Alex Mayers, I know you exist. I don't like channels that sit and trash on popular things, to be honest, but that's just me. Then again, the Shadowhunters show wasn't that popular. I know we had the tag trending every other week for a while, but like, Twitter's Twitter. You can get anything trending on Twitter. Unless you're me, when you try to get one angry racist trending because of Billy. But yeah, that's a thing that I really didn't need to bring up. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time. Bye.